Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk about the HR 748 CARES Act, and then I'm going to address some comments that people have brought up about this CARES Act. And I am going to pinpoint some things afterwards that need to be addressed that still continue to happen by childish adults that can't contain themselves and realize that there's much more to this world than what they want and what they need immediately. Uh, a lot of you have demands. A lot of you ask for me to do things, but none of you want to do the work to do it yourself. I don't mind doing that sometimes for content reasons, but if you want something specific done to where you want me to stop what I'm doing and run to you and do it, then you need to head on over to my Patreon account and drop some money in that account because I can't just stop what I'm doing for you. I'm typically doing stuff throughout the day to help people. I'm on my Facebook groups, mentoring and stuff like that. I'm living my life as well. And I keep getting comments like, what the hell, man, 1 hour and even more just to explain the CARE Act. I tried to send this video to my friends so they can understand what it really means, and no one understands what you're trying to say, bro. I was really happy to find something that explains this conspiracy theory, but no way, bro. This video is too long and you missed your points by a lot by talking about things like your PC settings and more. Guys, I do what I do, um, and I talk through things as I deal with problems when I do my videos. So sometimes that's what you get. Unless you're willing to start footing up some money for me to do things exactly how you like them to be done, I don't have time to cater to every single need that you want and have to have entertained. So what you get is what you get sometimes. It's kind of my time, and how I want to divvy it out is how I divvy it out. Now let's move into this CARES Act, and we can break this down a little bit more. There was a gentleman that did a video, and he basically made it seem like the CARES Act has been out longer than what we thought, and he made a mistake, and later on eventually admitted that he made a mistake and said he didn't actually read into it like he thought he was reading into it. He thought Donald Trump had signed it and knew about it much more. January of 2019, that was not the case. There was another act that was put in place January of 19. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to screen share with you. Just get right to it so we don't have to deal with all this other junk. People crying about stuff because they can't have it their way, and they need to see it in short form because their attention span is so short they can't keep up with everything. It's just simple English, guys. Simple freaking English. Hillbilly English. So here's the HR 748 Act. Right here. It was modified March 27th of 2020. When it was originally put out, they said that it was put out back January of 19. And it was put out January of 19, but it started out as an act to reform some kind of tax on a 1986 medical taxation thing that they wanted to change. And it was introduced in January, and it actually started making it through the chain. You could actually click on some of the links and follow it through the way it's supposed to be followed through. Let's see here. All actions. You can see here, January 24th of 19, it was introduced in the House. And people are like, oh my God, well, if the CARES Act is money for people because of the coronavirus, how come it popped up January of 19, long before the coronavirus popped up? That's not what happened. This was not originally the CARES Act. This act was originally put in place, and I don't know how they did it. Don't ask me these questions because I can't answer them for you. But what I can tell you is what's at face value. There was an act that was started here, and it was based on a 1986 tax act for middle class on medical or something to that extent, and they wanted to change it. And it was referred to the House January 24th of 19. Then it went to motion, placed the bill 521-19. And then it went assigned to the census calendar 717-19. You can follow this all the way through. And then somewhere right in here, it was read a second time in 722-19. Motion to proceed to consideration of measure made in Senate. 3/20/2020. In here, they started to change things. They knew this was a bill or an act or something that they were trying to clear up. And whenever the whole coronavirus thing, this was like probably one of the least important bills that they had. And in this notation, as of March 2020, on the act, you can see it says, go ahead and just get rid of everything below. We have something more important right now. The House, the Senate, everybody agreed that we do need to get this money out to the people because of the pandemic that's going on. They need to get paid because they're not going to work. We're telling them not to go to work. So everybody kind of conglomerately agreed, let's get this act out now. And the only way that we can do it is we have to get it approved. And everybody kind of agreed conglomerately that they need to have something on paper. So they pushed this aside. They got rid of all the information before this date. They got rid of it all. They just basically deleted it out of there and made it the CARES Act and said, this is what you get. This is the money. This is the PPP loan stuff. This is the small business stuff. And that's how this came about. And as of March 27th, 2020, it became a law. That's how this all happened. So that's the explanation. I don't know how much more people need other than that. That is the short of the story. Now, for those of you out there that think the creators of these channels are supposed to stop doing what they're doing because you're so considerate in your life that you care so much about other people that you want to give them good information. You want to clear things up for them. You want to help them out, but you won't make a channel. You won't buy a camera. You won't put your time in front of that camera to start explaining things and investigating things yourself. But you have the nerve to sit here on this keyboard like the little keyboard warrior that you are and type up messages and send stuff to people and say, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. And you just, I'm not happy with how your video went. Okay, so create your own channel. Go spend $90 on a camera, $30, $40 on a stand, and then start building it up. If my criteria is not up to your standard, then start foot some money out. Send me $1,000 camera if you want better videoing quality. Quit bitching about it and complaining about it and do something about it. And in my comment box, telling me how you don't like how I created a video doesn't do anything. There's your HR 748 bill explained. January of 19, the bill was not about the CARES Act. It was about something that happened back in 1986 with some kind of taxation on medical. And then it went to the CARES Act in March of 2020, right before everything was going to get passed for that 1986 bill. They got rid of that completely. And if you go back to that, go back to share screen. Let's talk about my settings some more, since I tell you guys what I'm doing as I'm doing it, so you're not left out to figure out, why is this guy not talking? Why is he clicking on stuff and we can't see it going on? Share screen, Chrome tab, share the act. Make sure I got you guys up here. Scroll down. Let's go back. Right here, it says, to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to appeal the excess tax on high-cost employer-sponsored health coverage. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America, Congress assembled. Section 1. This act may be cited as the Coronavirus Aid Relief Act and Economic Security Act by the CARES Act. The table of contents is as followed, and then they put everything in here. You can see here it did not start that way, but this wasn't such an important act for them to keep and let it pass on through. They needed this money to go out to the people immediately, or else they weren't going to be able to pay their bills and stuff like that. They were trying to keep small businesses afloat. They were trying to keep entrepreneurs paid. They were trying to keep subsidiaries going, bankruptcy issues from happening and stuff like that. So they had to get this out. And the original act, this 1986 repeal the excess tax on high-cost employer-sponsored health coverage, wasn't as important as getting this money out to people. So even though people are saying, if in my comment section, people are saying, let me go back here. See what this guy says here. This doesn't make sense. You can't take a bill that has passed all the key levels and then 10 minutes before the final signature change everything and get past what you didn't want everyone to see in the first place. It has nothing to do with that. These people that are coming by my page saying that the gematria of somebody is 30 or 40 or 60 and it means they're a bad person and you're lying and this means this. I don't do all that voodoo conspiracy Jewish numerology bullshit. Okay? I see what's in front of me. I look at the facts, what's on the .gov websites, and I give it to you. Now, regardless if it's real or not, that's all we have to go off of. I can't explain to you why they took an act that passed through all the chains and said, here you go, there's your act. It just happened. That's how it freaking happened. They all agreed on it for it to happen. They needed people to have money. If people didn't have money, things would have got really, really bad. I mean, really bad. Landlords would have been trying to put people out. People couldn't pay their bills. Their cars would have got taken from them. Yada, yada, yada. Snowball effect. It would have got way worse. But now we're in a situation where people are demanding information. People coming to our channels, the creators, saying, well, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Well, how about foot up or shut up? Get your own channel. Get your own camera. Go spend the money like we did in the time and learn how to put all this together and tell us what does make sense. That's what you should do. Instead of complaining to somebody that's trying to give you the information. So why does a bill have to pass both House and Senate? Avoid the House stopping your bill by writing something like puppies shouldn't be shot in the head. This is not puppies being shot in the head. This is people paying their rent and feeding their children. That's what this is. It's much different than puppies being shot in the head. Wake up, goofball. You're on my channel asking me questions and I'm giving you information. This bill was originally a tax relief bill introduced in January of 19. You can see it on the .gov website. That's exactly what I said. That's what I said in my video. It's what I originally put out. It's what I've been saying from the beginning. It's a 1986 Tax Relief Act on some kind of healthcare stuff. Yes, that's exactly what I said. But they changed it to be the CARES Act so they can give people money. This other guy here says, fake news. Enjoy being reported. He's going to report my channel for reporting the truth. I mean, rock and roll ANP. And then you go click on the guy's site and he looks like some cracked out meth head that puts out some kind of rock videos and has all of 30 subscribers in the last 10 years. I mean, report my channel all you want, bud. But I mean, if you want to be a piece of shit and come to somebody else's channel and put out this kind of shit, fuck you. How about that? So I've been dealing with a lot of bullshit lately. I've been dealing with a lot of people coming from these conspiracy theory channels and people that this guy named RV Truth, where he puts out all these weird numerology. He bases all these things off numbers and can tell the future and everything else like that. I get these people coming over here and say, well, RV Truth showed me that if you look up the numbers by this way and your name says this and starts with this and everything else, your gematria means this, so you're completely wrong. Since when did we go to like some kind of psychic number? This is what this means. I mean, you guys are living in some kind of completely fucking different world, man. Seriously. Holy shit. If I could tell my future by looking at the damn numbers, fuck, I'd be a damn millionaire. My numbers say that I should be a millionaire right now. Holy hell, man. Some of these people, these people that show up on my channel and stuff, and I'm trying to give them the truth, they're so cracked out of their damn mind, it's unreal. They come here expecting this instant gratification of somebody to stop what they're doing and do exactly what the hell they want them to do. It's ridiculous. The quality of a person has gone down a shitter. Like, and most of you that come here that type up your little stories and stuff and tell me flip off and everything else, and I'm going to report your channel. If you see me in public, you'd be like, hey, what's up, man? How are you? You'd never talk like you talk on here. You wouldn't have no damn teeth by the time I was done with it. I just don't understand. I don't understand how people just are. They just think that they're some kind of internet hero when they come on here and they just want to steal people's time. And then they report your channel, they flag your channel like a bunch of damn crazy ass ideological driven vegans. Oh, you didn't say what I wanted you to say, so I'm reporting your channel. Enjoy getting reported by some cracked out meth head that's been on YouTube for 10 years that can't play a damn guitar to save his life. You can see that I'm a little worked up. It's because I'm sick and tired of having to deal with people like this. They don't want to do the work, but they'd rather somebody else do the work for them. And then here better yet. So I'm on this group that is about, they're against JB Pritzker, right? And they say something along the lines of Donald Trump stopped internet censoring on the Republican side, on the Google platform, on the Yahoo platform, on the Facebook platform, and all this stuff. No, the hell he didn't. If you look at what he said, look, I'm meeting with the leaders of the social media platforms, probably more concerned with his ads for his next presidency not being sponsored by a lot of these social media sites. I think that he would be selfish enough at that point. Trust me, I voted for him. I won't lie about that. But he's a pretty selfish person when it comes to certain things. And if a social media site is not putting his ads up, his campaign stuff, running his, I don't really see too much of his stuff anymore because they're censoring all of it. He wants to know what's going on. So he did say that, hey, I'm going to meet with everybody. I'm going to try to figure out why the more right-wing Republican stuff is kind of getting censored. More of the red stuff is getting censored. I'm trying to figure out why this is happening. So I'm going to meet with them. We're going to talk about things, and we're just going to try to figure this out. He didn't stop anything. He didn't create this imaginary group or whatever where people can come to and do all this stuff and report Mark Zuckerberg for saying this, or Zach Zuckerberg or Paul Zuckerberg, or whatever the hell these people's names are, for saying all this stuff or censoring them. He didn't do any of that. So this person created this long. She's from like India, and she's some kind of psychic from India, and she makes these fictitious stories up, and then she posts them all over the world, and people believe them. Well, I caught her in the act. I said, well, first of all, Donald Trump never created any of this stuff and said we're going to stop censoring people. Then she put out something along the lines of, that's why Donald Trump got rid of the WHO, saying this and doing this. And I said, what are you talking about? All the stuff you're talking about is complete bullshit. He didn't stop the WHO from doing anything. He doesn't have the power to do that. He can stop funding them. He can say, hey, wait, we need to start looking at holding back the money. But then he has to go through a chain process to do that. It's not something where he can just snap his fingers and it's done. So you're already putting out false information. He did not stop that from happening. He's looking into figuring out defunding them because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. I get that. He did admit that. So then this psychic from India puts in her 10 things that Donald Trump has done and why you should be appreciative of him being president. Then she says he abolished the HR 6666 Act, the Trace Act. No, he did not. The Trace Act is still sitting waiting to be approved. It's a $100 billion bill that's put in by Democratic State Representative Bobby Rush from the state of Illinois, and it's waiting to go through the whole process of the approval. He didn't do anything. He doesn't even have the ability to touch that until it starts getting looked at, and it hasn't even been looked at yet. The governor of New York says he wants to adapt a policy that's like the Trace Act on his own, using the National Guard to semi-force people to take vaccines and stuff if they don't want to agree to it. But Donald Trump never had anything to do with removing or doing any of that stuff. That's complete hogwash that when people say that happened. So that's another thing that was completely false that this person, this psychic from India, says was created. It makes no sense at all when people create this stuff. And they're saying, oh, yeah, that's why you should have Donald Trump for president. It's just a ton of garbage. It's a ton of freaking garbage that people are creating. And even though I voted for Donald Trump and I'm a pro-Trump supporter, I also am a pro-good information, honest information supporter. If you're putting out crap information, regardless if you're left, you're right, you're center, it's crap information. I'm going to call you out on it. And people don't like that. That's why a lot of Republicans don't like me. That's why a lot of liberals don't like me. Because I do not side with either side completely on any of these matters. I'm more Republican, and I did vote for Donald Trump, but I don't like a lot of the stuff that happens. I find a shitty, dishonest Republican just as nasty as a vegan or a leftist that just is out to grasp for any kind of conspiracy theory out there. I do not like that on either side. I hate it. I'm involved in a lot of groups where I see a lot of bad information get put up, and I catch them on it right away. I don't care if it's the admin of the group. I don't care if it's one of the moderators of the group. I'll say, hey, wait a second. The stuff you're putting out is complete bullshit. That was never put in place, and I'll show you in 5 minutes. And I'll go through the act. I'll break it down, and I'll say, see, none of this stuff that you said is actually true. Well, you're just a left snowflake, blah blah. I said, really, when I have my Keep America Great Again hat on, I voted for Donald Trump. I talk about half my stuff on my page is pro-Trump, pro-Republican. I've been backing off a lot lately just so I can be a little bit. I have a lot of keto people, and I do have a lot of liberals that follow me, but I try not to be like excessive with that stuff because it does get overwhelming when people see that stuff every day, because I think the same thing. So I'm like, yeah, I'll back off this week and I won't post so much of that stuff. But there's so many people putting out such bad information on both sides. It's just ridiculous. The problem that I have with what Donald Trump did, and I know it's kind of hard to say, some people have been wanting me to say something bad about Donald Trump, and I don't really have much bad to say about him. But what I do feel is I don't like the fact that he gave the governors as much power during this pandemic as he did. I don't like the fact that his campaign or whoever advised him to give the governors of the states a lot of power to figure out when they're going to let people go back to work and stuff like that. I don't like that. I hate the fact that he did that. I hate the fact that he knows there's there's governors in Texas. There's a governor in Texas, or let's just create a story here and make it based off reality. If you're in a small town in Texas that's completely driven by, we were just having this conversation the other night, me and Angie's brother. If you're in small town Texas and you're in a small tight-knit community and you're looking for a new mayor, or the state needs a new governor or something like that, and you're real hard Republican pushed, Christian based and stuff like that, if you do not have those same beliefs, or at least lie like you do or show like you do through fictitious matters as those people of that state, if you don't show that you're right wing and you're Christian and you're Bible thumping and everything else, you're not going to get those people's votes. That's just the damn fact of the matter. So they look for a specific person to be put in power to dictate that group of people's lives, or help control that group of people's lives. So if you're a leftist and an atheist worshiping, and you don't believe the same stuff that Republicans believe, and you don't believe in Christianity and all that stuff, and you're predominantly a Christian-based Republican state, you ain't going nowhere. You're going to be not thought of on any ballot, and you're not going to be voted in. So you know what people do? They find somebody that fits their values, and they'll put somebody in place to be that governor or that mayor. Well, unfortunately, in Illinois, we can't have a Christian-based Republican governor here, because this is a very liberal-run state, and it will never be that way. And if you don't fit the criteria of giving to the poor, free school, do this, give back to the community, everything that you got, and don't do anything for the hard working class people, spend as much money on the roads as you possibly can and lie through your teeth and say this road will be done in 5 years, but 15 years later you're still taking taxpayers' dollars to fund that road, you're not going to be a mayor or a governor or a politician in Illinois. That is the facts. That is how it works. So when Donald Trump gave the governors and the people in charge of the states that much power to dictate when they go back to work and what they do, blah, 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 that was destroyed. Because now you just took the Republican-driven states, the people that are really wanting to go back to work, and they don't care about all this other stuff. They don't need the free money and all that other stuff. They're really driven hard. And there are some liberals that are like this too. I'm just kind of talking right now. This is just me openly talking. They're going to go back to work. They're going to start supporting the economy and putting their hard-earned tax dollars and stuff in, while states like Illinois are going to be bottomed out. We're going to go into further debt. We're going to try to keep people at home. We're going to make people get used to living off of the unemployment system. We're going to add that extra $600 from the stimulus check in every week. So people make on average $500 extra dollars a week. So they're happy with not going back to work because they're making more money now. So now we've taken a system of people that should be working and trying to earn a paycheck, trying to earn their living and their wealth. And now we got them sucked up into this government funded lifestyle where everything comes from the government. You're making more money off the government. You're feeling like you're provided for better off the government, and you don't want to go back to work, even though deep down inside, you know you'd be rather working for your money. You're not going to go back to work and just make as much money as you're making right now during this pandemic with the extra money going into the end of July. So you'd rather just be home, sucking up all the extra money and stuff, being on unemployment, than going back to work and actually working. So when Donald Trump gave those governors of those states all that power, all they're doing is creating this lifestyle of people being a victim of living off the spoon of the government. They're sucking them into this black hole that they can't get out of, and that's what they want. So they're really feeding into this whole agenda of not going back to work. It's not safe right now. We can't, the virus, this and that. It's so dangerous. We can't be out there. They want to stay home because they're making more money now, because they know eventually when that runs out, they're going to have made more money off the system than if they went back to work and actually worked for their hard-earned money. And I know some people are like, you honestly think people? Yes, people are like that. I've had multiple conversations with different parts of my family and friends and everything else. Yes, people are like that. That is reality. That's not even something to feel bad about. That is how people are. They get paid such sucky wages at their jobs. They're willing to bow down and suck off the government nipple a little bit and make more money by not being productive with their life and not feeding society with the things that they should be feeding society with, giving back taxes, actually providing a service to the consumer, that they would rather be at home collecting extra money every week, living off the government's nipple. That's how it is. That's the world. So you have specific states that have too much power. And our governor's like, no, people aren't going to go back to work. We're going to keep them locked down for another 6 months or 4 weeks, 7 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. It's too dangerous. We can't, people with the masks and spreading the virus all over the place. And when people don't realize from the very beginning, the only reason a lot of these virus counts are going up is because there's way more testing now. It's not even that the virus is spreading. It's way more testing. And it's no different than influenza A or B. The statistics fall in line with all that stuff every single year. So what I don't get is I don't get why we're making a big deal out of something that doesn't need to be made a big deal out of. We need to be careful, of course. We need to keep our distance. Sure, I can agree with that. Put masks on my face. I was in Wisconsin for half the day today. They don't have no masks on their face up there. They're going to the bars with each other. They're out walking around the beach and stuff, out in the sun, getting some exercise, playing volleyball and stuff like that. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Come back to Illinois, everybody's got Darth Vader masks on. They're breathing their own shit back in constantly. They look like a bunch of yahoos running around with alien masks on. Some lady's got her bra thing cut out over her head. You can tell it used to be a nipple right in the center of that thing, because that sucker must have been huge, because that bra piece has got that permanently deformed nipple thing right in the middle of that sucker. I mean, it looks ridiculous. Anyway. My rant is over. Wow. Let's look at the comments. I agree with the statement. We should get rid of the WHO and CDC. They don't do anything. I seen an article today that said Tedros from the WHO has decided that he wants to stop investigation of hydrochloroquine and hydrochloroquine. I'm thinking to myself, who is Tedros to stop the investigation or the clinical trials to figure out what the dangers or the pros and cons of hydrochloroquine are? Who is he to stop that? He's the director of the WHO, which has had no medical training at all. He's tied in with so many criminal acts overseas in different countries where he hasn't been tried for any of them, but countries have wanted to try him for them. Who is he to stop anything that has to do with a scientific study based on medical research? He's nobody. He shouldn't be making that call at all. because 12 people in another study showed to have deathly side effects or have died from using hydrochloroquine. They don't know that. That's a bunch of shit. Yes, I agree with this too. Too bad Trump backed down on the national emergency and gave the power to the governors and mayors. That was a huge, 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 huge mistake. Huge. That was a huge mistake. The states should have power. That's what America was built on. But again, I explained why that should not happen in this instant. I clearly explained that. If the states have power to dictate what goes on with the people, and it's a liberally driven state, the people that are in that state that don't agree with staying home and sucking off the government's tit and all this other stuff and getting used to collecting unemployment, that don't want to be part of that, they don't have a choice. And when you don't have a choice, how are you the voice of the people? Do you move to another state that's republicly driven and let all the liberals go to that state? I mean, that's an option. But should you really have to pack up your whole livelihood and move somewhere else so you can be in a state that fits more of your criteria than a state that doesn't look out for the people? I mean, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I don't think under this type of situation that we're dealing with, this pandemic, whatever the hell you want to call it, states should have solely the power of what's going on. That is a complete bad idea. People don't have, actually, the people are the ones supposed to have all the power. And you and me both know that is not true. That is not what goes on. They will put in place who they want to put in place until people are ready to fight and go to arms and fight for and throw these people out of office. It's not going to happen. It hasn't happened. People have been saying this for years with no change, and it hasn't happened. It's not going to change. Where are the militias? They're they are all out there, and if things get bad enough, people will rise up. How is it not bad enough? I mean, when you're controlling everything people do, and you can't even let them out of their own homes and be able to go live freely. How's that not bad enough? People just succumb to it, and then they're okay with it. I mean, if you have a liberal president, all they're going to do is push liberal driven laws and acts and stuff like that. That doesn't mean the governors and the Republicans of the states or I mean, the governors and the mayors of the states are going to be liberal because of the president. I mean, we can still have our states that operate the way that they operate under a neutral civil base and still have it kind of pushed right or left. But when it comes to situations like this, the coronavirus, it should not be up to the governors and mayors on what happens and doesn't happen. That's too much power for them to lock people down in their states based on statistics. They should have to answer to somebody higher than them that can help make that decision. It should look at the statistics, have somebody in place that can look at this that's neutral in this and say, well, Maine had 33 cases where people were in the hospital when they shut down. That is not a shutdown point. That Democratic driven governor for that state should have not been allowed to shut that state down with 33 cases. That state should have stayed open, and they were hit the hardest per capita. That state should have stayed open, and they should have waited to see if anything got worse. But you shut it down early and you stop people from their livelihood or living, and it never really got all that bad. So you give somebody that power, and this is what they do. They abuse it. And people were livid about it. Until people are ready to start fighting, and I mean literally fighting, and I'm not trying to be negative about this, things are not going to change. Your states are still going to be Republican driven or Democratic driven. In Illinois, we have what they call the northern section and the southern section. There's the Springfield section and then there's the Chicago section. Nobody wants to be part of the Chicago section. They want nothing to do with it because of the crime that goes on, the corrupt, crooked politics, and the people that run this state are the biggest criminals in the world when it comes to this stuff. We're the worst off financially. They don't care about the people. It's like they want to keep people under their foot all the time. As long as you're under my feet and I can make and I know that you feel like you're beneath me and I feel like you're coming to me for help and you're relying on me for help, then I've got you where I want you. But if you start to take off and succeed and actually become something and you don't need me anymore, that's when I have a problem. That's how this state is run. And it's corrupt as hell. It's the worst state out of the states, if you ask me. And I know it's actually ranked like 40, 48 or 49 financially. It's like it's the worst state. There's only one or two other states that could possibly be worse, but that switches off. No, they really can't though, because they have to. There would have to be a committee of people that would agree on such an action. There should be a place put in where if an action like this needs to be made and one person has to make it, it has to be agreed upon by many, many, many people, not just one person. And normally that's how it comes to fruition anyway. So that's kind of how I am too. I don't care what people do. I don't care if there's gay marriage and all this other stuff. I know people think that's a sin that I'm that way because the Bible says there shouldn't be that stuff. But I don't care what people do in their lives, honestly. If you want to be gay, be gay. If you want to be whatever you want to be a peacock and you want me to call you Tom or Thomas the Tank today, I'll call you Thomas the Tank all day if that's what you want. You're not affecting my life, and I'm making you happy for giving you a Thomas the Tank name. When it comes to social stuff, I'm kind of more along that aisle as well. Let people do what they want to do. They don't bother me. But when it comes to physically, I'm conservative all day. So I don't ever vote left because there's not enough positive left for me, and I always go right because right seems to be the best fit for me. It's a dog eat dog world. I wish we had somebody that would fit in the middle, that would kind of take both sides that was worth a damn. Not a Bernie, not a Sleepy Joe, somebody that was worth a damn. And I would vote for them. Hi, Shell. Good. Come here, Sally. Hey, like that. I got you. Get your kicks off. Do what you like. That's, I don't care what people do. I really don't. I have gay friends. I've been hit on by people that were, transsexual. As long as you don't touch me or you don't make me feel uncomfortable, I don't care what you do. There's been a few situations where I've had to speak up for myself, where somebody made me very, very uncomfortable, and I've had to speak up. But most of the time, things don't really bother me. Not when it comes to people's private lives. Um, I've been in the sun the last couple of days show. Uh, it's it's just one of those things where I haven't found a person in the middle that I want to vote for that I feel comfortable with. And you know Trump's going to get another 4 years. You know he is now, especially after Biden put his foot in his mouth when he was talking to Charlemagne the God, when he was doing that interview, and at the end of it, before he got off of there, Sleepy Joe was like, "Well, if you're not black if you don't vote for me, the Democrat," and I was like, "What? What did this dude just say? You just lost all credibility, bro. You messed up pretty bad." He just nailed in the coffin for him, and everybody is talking about it on social media like not even gonna have a chance now. That was just way too far, and he won't get elected. There's no chance he'll get elected. It's just not gonna happen. You're not black if you don't vote for me. Wow. Oh, Sleepy Joe. I see some clips of him talking nice and honest and stuff, and he seems like he's got his head together. And I don't know if those are the days where he's took extra medication, but most of the time when I see him talking or like acting, he's got his hands on some little girl. He's sucking on her skin. He doesn't just kiss them on the cheek. He like sucks their skin into his mouth when he kisses them. It's very disgusting. He's always touching them on their sides or around their breasts or something like that, or holding them inappropriately. I mean, I don't know how anybody would even vote for that guy. That guy's the most disturbing dude that I've ever seen. He takes Creeper to a whole different level. It's beyond Dahmer Creeper status. I mean, it's disgusting. So I don't know. I mean, I think Trump's pretty confident now the deal's sealed. He's screwed the pooch on that. I mean, Bernie they thought kind of sat more in the middle, but when he wanted to go full board Democratic ballot as a candidate, I mean, half of the Democratic Party pushed him out of that and said it's not going to happen. You don't fit what we need. You don't represent what we need or we want, and it's just not going to happen. It pushed him right out of it so Biden can slide in the picture, and then Biden puts his foot in his mouth. Well, shit, he's been doing lately. He's dead in the water. It's not going to go anywhere. I mean, they could try, but who do they have to even step in? Biden sealed the deal. I mean, the whole Democratic Party looks like complete trash right now after the last two people that they've had up. I mean, you have Bernie Sanders wanting to put the country in the deficit we're in now times 10, and then you have Sleepy Joe that wants to discreetly behind the scenes molest children and get away with it and suck the salt off their skin on camera and make it seem like he's not doing anything wrong, and then say, if you're not black, you're not a Democrat, or if you don't vote for me, you're not black. I mean, this is the Dems have they've done a really really hurting on their whole image right now. I think we should put Taylor Swift as the Democratic president, the running candidate, Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga or Ellen DeGeneres. I don't know what it is. Let's look and see. A brokered convention, sometimes referred to as an open convention and closely related to a contested convention, can occur during a presidential election when a political party fails to choose a nominee on the first round of delegate voting at the party's nomination convention. Is a presidential nominating convention that fails to nominate a candidate on the first ballot because no candidate gets A brokering convention is a presidential nominating convention that fails to nominate a candidate on the first ballot because no candidate gets the votes of more than half of the delegates. Such conventions happened in the days before the two political parties used primaries to award delegates to presidential candidates. Back then, if no one won a majority on the first ballot, the convention would begin a complex series of negotiations led by power brokers from the states. These brokers could be governors, senators, or big city mayors, anyone who had the power to control or persuade delegates. Hence the term brokered convention. The last conventions to fail to nominate someone on the first ballot took place in 1952 in both the Democratic and Republican parties when the nominee was Adlai Stevenson and Dwight Eisenhower. A contested convention is more common in the modern era. This refers to a situation in which one candidate has done well, but not well enough to guarantee the first ballot win. Another candidate attempts to convince enough other delegates to abandon the frontrunner and come to him, or therefore the first ballot takes place, or him or her before the first ballot takes place. Examples of modern contested conventions are 1976 Republican convention contest between Governor Ronald Reagan and President Gerald Ford, the 1980 Democratic Convention contest between Senator Ted Kennedy and President Jimmy Carter, and the 2016 Republican Convention contest between Never Trumpers and Senator Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. The winners, of course, were Ford, Carter, and Trump. One little understood feature of the presidential primaries in each state is that they award the delegate slots to presidential candidates, not individual delegates. More often than not, it takes weeks, if not months, to actually elect real people to fill these slots. For instance, this year, Iowa caucuses took place, if I'm saying that right, on February 3rd. As of this writing, former Mayor Pete Buttigieg won 13 national convention delegates, and Senator Bernie Sanders won 12 national convention delegates. There is still some counting going on. However, the people who fill these slots and go on the Democratic convention in Milwaukee won't be elected until conventions in all of Iowa's 4 congressional districts are held April 25th, 2020. Anyway. I like Kanye, but I don't think Kanye's presidential material. That dude is, he's a little off sometimes. They've got to stop printing money. The dollar will lose more and more value, aggravating. Well, what's going on is I thought the same thing at first, but I looked up a channel called Clear Value Tax. When this guy talks, he's very educated. He's young, but he's super, super smart. He owns his own firm, his own tax firm, and he keeps everybody updated on the loop of what's going on. The PPP loans, the small business loans, all this stuff. The dude is super, super smart. And he said he keeps hearing everybody talk about them printing more money and us devaluing the dollar. And he said that's not what's going on right now. And they made that clear. What Trump wanted was he didn't want the value of the dollar devalued. He wanted us to go into more debt. So he's taking the money that they're giving people for these CARES Act censuses and stuff like that, or the Relief Act, and he's adding it to the deficit that we already have and calling it a debt on the country and not so much printing money to devalue the dollar. So he would rather us go into more debt and not devalue the dollar and find out some kind of way to make up for it later than devalue the dollar now. So that's the way he explained it. And again, the channel's called Clear Value Tax. Very, very smart guy. When you watch Clear Value Tax, it's like you're getting very, very good information, and he's getting right to the point when he talks about things, but it almost seems like you're getting scolded at the same time, like he's your dad that's teaching you a lesson. He gets very disappointed, you can tell, with the ignorance from people in some of the things that they say and act like they know things, and they really don't. They're not professionals in the field, and then he has to correct them. Kind of like when I do these videos and it's my time and I put into them, and then people demand that I do them better or a certain way. It's like, if you knew so much about this and you knew so much to correct me, then why are you here? You just wanted to correct somebody? With him, he corrects people and he slays them in a very nice, honest, clean way. He's very, very smart. Well, I mean, unless you guys have something else you want to talk about, that's it for right now. I kind of talked about a lot of things in this video, and I probably shouldn't have. I probably should retitle this something else and then come back and talk about the HR 748 Act and say exactly what needs to be said and move on. But, or they can, whoever wants to share this video with somebody can say, hey, if you're wondering about what the HR 748 Act is, pass this through and tell your people to stop watching after 3 minutes because this guy goes on a freaking hour-long rant. Whatever. Yeah, Pelosi wants so much money dumped into all this. She wants essential workers to have $24,000 or something given to them, even though they're essential and they've been working because they put their life at risk for this. She wants more money every month to be given than this $1,200. I mean, she wants a lot of money to be put on the table, and they're just not willing to do all that. And they don't even have, they say it's going to be another $1,200, but they don't even know what they're really going to do yet. They haven't even come to an agreement on exactly what's going to happen. They talked about a release date and all this other stuff, and none of it's happening. So it's going on, dragging out even further. I mean, I'll take the money. I'm not going to turn it down. Don't get me wrong. Because old Daddy Trump, if he's going to give me $1,200, I'm going to stimulate the economy with it for sure. Yeah. What's up? She wants way more money. I mean, this Pelosi she just wants all kinds of money dumped into this whole relief act, and I I think she's trying to get us in such a tight spot with everything that's going on. I think Pelosi wants to just bottom everything out and suck every dollar out of the system that she possibly can. So whenever it's time for Trump to be reelected, that everything falls back on him. Look how many people message me on my page when I talk about the COVID-19 pandemic that we're going through and stuff like that, and they automatically say, well, Trump's going to have to answer for it. Trump's going to have to answer for it. Everything they're saying falls back on Trump, and that's exactly why they're doing a lot of this. There's so many liberals that come by my page that leave such shit comments and say, well, Trump's not going to get reelected because all this is his fault. It's all going to fall back on him. This is honestly what they believe. It's not what they believe. It's the story that they create. So they try to make sure that the man's not pulled back in office because there's nothing going their way. I mean, we did the census thing. I let Ange take care of all that. I don't want to get involved with all that. She wants to do it, she can, but um, I let her take. They sent some letter to the house, and she had to go online and do this and that. I don't know. When Daddy Trump sends me my $1,200, I'm gonna go put it in my race car. That's what I hear a lot of people saying. I'm gonna go buy some car parts. I'm gonna put it in my race car. I'm gonna upgrade my brakes, make my car go so fast, man. I'm gonna add 50 horsepower to my car with that $1,200 Daddy Trump gives me. Then I hear somebody else, man, I'm gonna go buy that new Xbox One when I get that money. Just wait, I'm gonna game you up. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna be the best gamer in the world with the best headset and control. Some of the stuff people are saying, man, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know why they would want to take all this money that they get from the government during this time and they want to put it into shit that doesn't even matter. Stuff that's just materialistic stuff. There you go. I could see that. That could be a great benefit for a family. Did you know that New York has been selected for 5 smart cities? Cuomo just selected several billionaires to reimagine schools in New York. I mean, I don't know anything about that. I can't talk on behalf of what Cuomo has done in New York because I don't follow him like that. So if he's selected 5 smart cities and several billionaires to reimagine schools in New York, that's just not something I'm read up on or studied up on. So I wouldn't feel comfortable commenting on what Cuomo has done. That's smart. See, this is something people should be doing their money. Fixing my tires, driver's license renewed, getting out of California, stuff like that. I could see people using the stimulus money for. You know how many people I see talking about using the stimulus money to buy the new Xbox One or want to go get some new turbo for their car or they want to, do something to make yourself better. If somebody's into music and stuff like that, of course, who am I to really tell people what to do with their money? I think right now people need to be very smart about what they do financially so they can get out of all this and then do what you want. But during this, I mean, I know people that don't even have money. They're living paycheck to paycheck if they're even working at all, or they're on unemployment and they're talking about taking the $1,200 and blowing it on stupid shit instead of using it to help themselves survive and get through this. But of course, that money is meant to be stimulated or meant to stimulate the economy. So whatever they spend it on, some way, shape, or form is going to stimulate the economy. So again, at the end of the day, who am I to really say anything about what people spend their money on? That's just my opinion. But who is the governor from California that's good? There's a governor in California. I don't know if he's a governor or if he's a mayor, and he's kind of like more Republican than anything. He's like Republican middle, not so much full blown Republican. I've listened to him talk, and the guy seems like he's pretty damn smart, but I forget what part of California he's from. And I like listening to him because he doesn't care. He just gets right on the ass of the politicians that really screw up in California, that really just make the poor decision. I forget the guy's name. I've listened to him a couple times on YouTube. I'm going to show you guys who our next president should be. And you will not be shocked. This should be our next president right here. Right there. He's very educated. I don't know that I would necessarily say that. I mean, there were some mistakes made, but I wouldn't say sold out. It's not what I believe happened. There was much more to it than that. Much more to it. I'll get into that on another video because that's going to be a long video. Long video, and I'm probably going to hurt some people's feelings too. So, what else are we talking about before I get off here? I've been on here for an hour, and I feel like we've kind of covered a lot of what I probably should just title this whole thing the HR 748 CARES Act and random political banter. So the idiots don't come by the page and leave all kinds of comments about how I didn't keep it directly on the HR 748 CARES Act. That's it, guys. I'm going to jump off of here. We've talked about everything that we could possibly talk about, I think. So I hope you guys have a great night, and I hope you had a great, safe weekend. Let's do this again. Give it in a couple days. Let's jump back on here and just powwow it out. Hash it all out and talk about Sleepy Joe and everybody else. Maybe I'll post some videos of old Creepy Joe sucking the salt off little girls' skin so you guys can get creeped out by him. I won't do that. It's disgusting. Okay, guys. Love y'all. Be blessed. Have a great weekend. The rest of your weekend. And a great week. Let's meet back in a few days.